All right, y'all, welcome back. We got kind of a different video today. I was just scrolling on Twitter and I did wake up and I see my man Childish Gambino, aka Donald Glover, to some of y'all, had an interview out, and I did see some people talking about one specific thing he said about black women on it. And I've been following him since Freaks and Geeks came out, one of my favorite rappers, entertainers. TV show Atlanta is great. Everything he does is pretty much gold, and this is just my take on what everybody is saying, and we're just gonna get into it. I'm throwing the quote on the screen. You've probably seen it. Might be up there now, maybe a little bit longer. It might keep it up the whole video, but you see it now. What some people are saying is they're like offended of why would he ever say this, and that this just confirms that he's not who he pretends to be, how he loves black people and he's for the black people, and that's something that people have questioned him on his whole career. Now, if you've only read headlines, I can see why you would feel the way you feel about this. Like, of course, it just confirms it. But when you add context, which a lot of conversations miss context, people will take a sentence and say this is fact. Yes, they said it, but if you don't have the context, what does it really mean? So just to add some context to this, there's other questions in the interview because it's himself asking him questions. And let me look here. One example, one question he asks is, have you seen the tweet that Dr. Umar said about you? Now, I'll probably throw the tweet up on the screen now so that you can see. So in the tweet, he's basically saying, yes, Donald Glover's music is great. The video, he gets the message, is powerful. But the fact of a white woman being in his life, that makes him not value the black experience enough. So it's kind of saying, how can he be in such high regard for black people if he doesn't value our experience? Now, also, there's another question about people questioning. He asks himself about race, and he says he doesn't like to talk about race for longer than 5 minutes unless you're black. Now you have to remember, these are him asking himself these questions. Then there's another question where he says it's like worded as the narrative around him. Now, as you know, with entertainers in the past couple years, they've started to create their narrative. Well, not even the past couple years, mostly only NBA and not Kanye West. They're publicly voicing their own opinions about whatever people say about them to stop you from creating a narrative. Now, this dude is private, doesn't really tweet a lot, doesn't do much about anything unless it's about what he's putting out. So he's playing with the fact that people have created this narrative about him that, oh, he only likes white women, he doesn't really care about black people. So from my perspective, is he's playing into that with his responses to some of these questions. Like, the question is, are you afraid of black women? Why are you asking me that? And then he also starts the beginning of this whole interview by saying, I'm gonna ask myself questions I usually never get. Because in reality, no interviewer is ever gonna ask him, are you afraid of black women? So then I think my perspective is he's playing on, like, why would you ask me that? Like, some people are like this to where they view other races above their own. But his track record of anything he's done doesn't show that. So it's like, why would you ask me just because of who I'm in a relationship with? That changes my whole perspective on everything being black in this world. And then I feel like your relationship to them has played a big part in your narrative. I feel like you're using black women to question my blackness, which is literally what, if any black man typically isn't with a black woman, at times you will be questioned on how can you do that if you love black people. Then the other interview questions go into race a little bit. He weaves and not in a clever way, because it's really like, why do we think if you're dating somebody that's not black, you don't like black people? The same for other races. That's just a weird question. Now, yes, some people, like I said, are like that. That's true for them. But nothing he's publicly ever done has been against black people. He embraces it. He made his whole album I can't think of the name right now. His whole album was a black funk album, and people didn't even, I think, didn't appreciate it for everything that it is. Maybe down the line they will, but that's literally that's like a lesser rap version of To Pimp a Butterfly, and you can't say these albums aren't just directly influenced from being black. Literally everything he does is black. It's just not the stereotypical black, or he doesn't openly say everything so vocally, but his actions should speak louder than words. Look, you have a TV show called Atlanta that's centered around black people. Everybody on that show that's famous now is black. He's put on actors, rappers that are all black, but he dates a white woman or whatever her race is, and then he suddenly gets questioned. And I think he's playing into the narrative of that with people on the internet. And then he also has some other good responses about criticism as to it's not really real, and that it's not, people need to hold criticism differently. And it's a good interview, you should read it. He touches on a little bit of Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan, how everybody wants to cancel them. And he's basically saying if they're not necessarily doing anything bad because they're doing it in good faith. Nothing they're doing really is horrible from any perspective. They're just saying what they really honestly believe is the best. Now, yes, you could say if somebody comes out and says we should just kill everybody who's over 6 feet, if they're being honest when they say it, oh, it's in good faith, so we should believe them. No, that's different. Come on, people, we're smarter than that. You should be able to figure out what people mean. That's just me. And then there's a couple other good questions about Because the Internet, which I do think is one of the best albums, and probably, like he said, will be appreciated later on. And then he says some good stuff about Dave and other shows like Euphoria, how he says they're all good, but he compares them to like restaurants. Like, quickly for Dave, he said Dave is good, but it feels like a show that had fresh ingredients and a guy who didn't go to culinary school, but he ate a bunch of good burgers and paid attention to them. So of course you will pick up on how to make something good if you study good stuff. But it's not the best, because you can tell this is just a good copy of something else. Also with Euphoria, he basically, it's a very good show, very good, one of the best tasting foods, and it has very good ingredients, but you always want more, which I personally still feel with Euphoria. They could do a lot more with the show, but it's like they just get to points where they just say, nope, we're good. Abbott Elementary, you already know, well, you might not know because I made a video about it. I love that show. Great show. Everybody should watch it. And then Atlanta, he basically described as being the best of the best, top tier. Even if you don't like it, you cannot say this is whack. And I agree. But those are just my thoughts and opinion on it. Let me know what you guys think below. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Probably next video will be on Atlanta, since it comes out later on today or Moon Knight. So see you guys later. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Later.